Well, we've been away from the jig tying for a little while, but we're going to do a few videos here coming up. And I had a request for a little better video on the whip finishing. One of our viewers requested that we do some close-ups of the whip finish. He's been watching our videos and learning how to tie jigs, and that's what it's all about, helping people out. And that's what we try to do here at God's Country Hunting and Fishing. So, you know, anytime y'all got any questions, comment on there, put a message on there, what you're looking for, and if I know how to do it, I'll or can figure out how to do it, I'll put a video up on it. So we're gonna tie one tonight here. This is a 1/8 ounce jig that I made. It's just a sickle hook. I think we will use this pink head and tie a June bug and chartreuse with a pink head, and we'll start out with our Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. We're going to take just a little dab of it, put it on the shank of the hook there. I like to use it. I don't know what effects we're going to have if we don't use it, but I always use it. It helps to seal that thread in on that hook. Starting out there, just getting it, laying us a base down just like normal. Just start up at the head, make a couple loops round and round, pull the twine back, come down. I always come to the point of the hook there. I haven't cut my V's yet. We just got some yellow chartreuse feathers. Now, if I'm making bigger jigs like this 1/8's a little bit bigger, I always make my V-cuts a little bit bigger, about like so. And I can always put them together and trim them down like I want. But I make them a little bit bigger, end up with just a little bit bigger profile jig. Sometimes that's what they want. A lot of times in the summer when your fry is small, after they hatch out, they may want a smaller jig. So a lot of summer jigs, or early summer to midsummer, for me anyways, may be smaller, even dropping down to 1/32 or even smaller. But you know, a lot of times on toward the fall, we can go back up to like a 1/8 ounce, or early spring we'll use a 1/8 ounce, or sometimes when it's windy. I should be showing y'all a little bit better, and I just run scissors right through there like that, and then I clip it, and that's it. That's all you're doing. So I don't think a lot of times about beginner tires, people that's just starting out, but that's what we should be geared towards, helping those guys out. That's all we end up with right there. Now I'm gonna take 4 of those. I would take 3 if I was using a 1/16 ounce, but I've got 4 of these, and I'm gonna lay them on there. Just lay them on the shank. I always pull the feathers up like this. Pull them up where I don't have anything in the way. Get them all in my finger like that before I lay them down. Get those started on there. Wrap them down to the shank, to the point of the hook. But this right here is just the basic tie-in, and I think we'll do this one with tips on it also, so it'll look like it's got some little wings. Now, for the flash, June bug and chartreuse, for some reason, I'm not sure why, but I typically use gold. Now, a lot of times I use something like this, just the regular straight gold, but not sure if it looks good to me or if it looks good to the fish. But I can tell you for sure, the gold flash does catch good, or this June bug and chartreuse is actually one of my top jigs. I've always got it with me, and we catch a lot of fish with it. Now, a lot of times if I've got a shorter piece, I know this one's going to end up shorter, I'll run this thread down about halfway and double it, my flash, on this little spiral flash, and then I'll take it, just go, grab the two ends like so. Got a loop on the other end, so I'm just grabbing that loop, and I go right around the shank of the hook there. Then I take my thread, make a couple wraps, and then I can pull it down, and I'll start tying it in like so. I like, if I'm putting wings on one, or I call them wings because that's what they look like, I like to go ahead and put my flash in there. And you'll just clip that in like so. So now we've got 4 little legs of flash in there. That looks good. Got my 2 tips down here, and I'm just going to take those, and I always like to turn them to where they're opposite of each other, so they're like this. I pull the very end the same length apart, you can see right there, and I'll take this end and clip the other end off to make them match, so they match perfect. So got my tip there, 2 tips. See, it's going to split open like that, give it a little wing action. It gives that jig a little action actually when you're moving it through the water. So once I get them started, I want to double check my length, and I want these tips to come out just a little bit past my other feathers here. So I just where on the shank of the hook like this that I want those to be. And I want, these are a little shorter than some, so I'm just putting them about midways down. And once I get them started, I'm going to come back and kindly adjust this just a little bit. Pull them down, make sure they stayed where I want them, and then tie them in. Now, a lot of people will tie that flash on now, and that's fine. It's whichever way you want it. I like to make sure all my flash is about the same length. Clip them off, and I like to let them come out, half an inch or so past. Some people leave them longer, and that's fine too. But this is what works for me. We fish our jigs. I don't fish anybody else's hand ties, and I'm watching these fish's response off a live scope. So that jig right there will catch all day long. I know it does. Medium hairline cactus chenille. Pretty nice little chenille right there. It's what I use for a lot of my bigger purple jigs, and all I'm doing is just laying it on there right on the shank of the hook, and I'll tie down. Now on anything this big, like a 1/8 or bigger, I always double it back, come back down here, make me a couple wraps like so, and then I can run it down here and then back, and it makes it a little bit thicker body. It'll more even up with the head and all. So I'm right there. I'm gonna start, like to leave this bobbing up short. I'm gonna start running it back down toward the point right there like so. Now I'm starting to pull it back, and you'll see how this thickens up. Just a real simple, easy jig right here. Now, here's the part that was requested. So first of all I'm doing is taking my chenille, holding it, and I'm bringing this thread back to me around the chenille and making a couple wraps around the head. I do that again, 1, 2, and then I stop. Now I'm ready to cut my chenille out of the way. I just go up pretty close, clip it. Now for this whip finish, I'm going to actually try to give you my angle so you see what I'm doing. It's a little bit different deal, and I put just a white paper towel over here so you could have a little background. You can actually see the thread better. So I'm going to take the whip finish tool. It's just a small regular whip finisher, and I'm going to take that hook and I'm going to press it right in that thread, and then I'm going to use this little arch in the whip finish tool right here to pull my thread against. Then I'm going over with that thread to make basically what would be a 4, just a little cross section. So I'm going to do that again. I'm putting my hook right in here below my jig, coming around. I put just a little pressure on it, come around the whip finish tool there, and that little dip in it, and then you're just letting it pivot. It when you put pressure upward with your little thread bobbin, it's gonna make that whip finisher pivot like that. So now we've got a cross right here, and our whip finisher looks just sitting there upside down. So at that point, I like to pull my thread, or this cross section here, you know, probably an inch from the head, and just start going around, because we've actually got like a triangle right here, and all you're doing is just going round and around that head with that triangle. Once I get there, I just let it slide off of this little dip section here and pull that up, and I'm using that hook to work it right up in against that head and coming off of there with it. I kind of cinch that down a little bit. So I've been going, most of my jigs I go about 5 to 7 wraps and then 5 to 7 again, and I haven't had any come loose yet. So once again, I'm going in with the hook, around, letting it flip up like that, run it up. Actually, this line will be right against the eye of your jig head, and you kind of just push that line right up in between the eye of the jig head and the jig head itself, and just kind of use that as a guide to start wrapping. Go around about 5 wraps, come off of there, unhook it, and you're done. That's it. That's all there is to it. Clip that up close, and that's it. And if you buy one of these sets, or you can buy this little, I just call it like a little needle is what it is. Got a little handle on it. I normally take some of my Sally Hansen's, just dip that needle in it. You just go right around the base of that thread, or the base of the head onto that thread, and it's sealed. That's it. Alright, that's it right there. Pink, purple, and chartreuse with gold flash. June bug and chartreuse, what I call that, with a pink head. That's a crappie catching machine right there. That's one of the best jigs there is. Plain and simple. Specific video tonight, just by request, and that's what it takes. I appreciate the feedback, I appreciate the comments, all the likes, shares. Y'all be sure to subscribe if you haven't. That helps our channel. Sharing the videos helps. You know, share it on Facebook, get us out there. Your buddies that like the crappie fish, tie jig, stuff like this. We're gonna have a little bit of everything going on. I'm sorry I can't do a lot of jig tying or anything, but to keep our channel diverse and get a lot of content out there, we just do what we do on a daily basis. That's what everybody likes. That's what we're gonna keep putting out there. Appreciate the support. God's Country Hunting and Fishing, keeping it real.